Now, the British National Party has voted to change its constitution and allowed non-white people to become party members. The party was ordered by a court to change its rules and allow black and Asian people to join or risk legal action. Holly Williams reports.
It's a stunning turn of events. The BNP is anti-immigration and anti-multiculturalism, but today it voted to allow non-white members. The party had little chance but to open its doors after an injunction brought by the Equality and Human Rights Commission. Still, the party leadership said it was a good thing.
It's a success, most of all, because this is a very controversial change, which could have been very divisive. The government, when they organised this with Kerr, had two aims in mind: to drain us of funds, and it has been very expensive, but also to divide the party. We've seen here today a completely unified party. We're going ahead with this change, and everybody is either going to accept it or thinks it's a good thing.
And the rank and file seem to agree.
It was a necessity rather than something that we wanted to do from the heart. It's been forced upon us, and we totally support the chairman's policies on this one.
Well, we have to, don't we? I abide by the law, and that's how it's got to be. So that's fine. So we'll just move on from there.
I've got two mixed race grandchildren. We are not a racist party. We're moving forward with the times.
This change was forced on the BNP by a court case brought by the Equality and Human Rights Commission. The judge found that the party's constitution was discriminatory and ordered it to change it. The question now is whether the amendments voted in here today will be enough to satisfy the court.
The court has got to decide whether this is indirect discrimination on racial grounds. Although they're saying we're open to everybody regardless of the colour of their skin, are they putting up so many barriers to somebody from an ethnic minority that they simply wouldn't join?
In theory, the BNP could have fought the case in court, but the legal bill may have run into the hundreds of thousands of pounds. And the party knows that the amended constitution may not change the makeup of the party's membership.
With this party, we're happy to accept anyone as a member, providing they agree with us that this country is and should remain fundamentally British, that the core values of Britain and the British people are very important, and there's plenty of members of ethnic minorities who agree with us. They'll be welcome. People who don't agree with that, whether they're black or brown or white, are not welcome in this party.
It's now up to the court to decide whether the BNP has done enough to show that it doesn't discriminate.
Well, Holly joins us now from Hornchurch in Essex, and I guess the big question, Holly, is what are the consequences now for the BNP?
Well, I think that those are twofold. One is political and one is legal. Politically, this could quite literally change the face of the BNP if now we see black and Asian people seeking to join the party. We'll have to wait and see if that happens. The more pressing concern, though, for the BNP is a legal one. Now, I have here a copy of their new constitution. It does say that the party now welcomes people of any descent or origin, but it also says that the party is pledged to stemming and reversing immigration, and also that it's pledged to represent the interests of Indigenous British. Now, the BNP has to submit this new constitution to the court on Tuesday, and it may be that the Equality and Human Rights Commission argues that even though the party is now allowing non-white people in, that kind of language is indirectly discriminatory because it discourages them from joining. As I said, the BNP will have to submit this on Tuesday. It will then be up to the court to decide whether the party's done enough to show that it's not a discriminatory organisation.
OK, thanks, Holly.
Now, as we've been hearing, the BNP has voted to change its constitution so that black and Asian people can become members. It had been threatened with court action if it didn't abide by equality laws and scrap its whites-only membership policy. Our political correspondent Ross Hawkins was at Hornchurch for the vote.
Yeah, the BNP has decided to do this because they've been forced to do this by a court case brought by the Equality and Human Rights Commission. We can speak to the BNP leader now, Nick Griffin. Nick Griffin, this wasn't something you wanted to do. This wasn't a principled stand. It was something you had to do for legal reasons, wasn't it?
We had to do it for legal reasons. Many of our members think it's a good thing. A lot of people said we should have done it some time ago, but that's really by the by. Our problem with this is a government-funded, taxpayer-funded quango telling people who they can and can't associate with is a fundamental outrage. But nevertheless, we recognise legal reality, so we've done it. So now, for one thing, they can't call us racist anymore.
Until you changed it, you said only indigenous Caucasians could join your party. Do you think many members of an ethnic minority would want to join a party like that?
Well, that's up to them. I know for sure. And a lot of people say embarking. I've met Asians, Sikhs especially, West Indians over the last few days campaigning, who said they're definitely voting for us because they or their parents came to a British Britain and they wanted to stay that way, and they recognise it only will if the native British peoples, the indigenous English, Scots, Irish and Welsh, remain the predominant majority and that our cultures and our values prevail. And there's plenty of members of ethnic minorities who agree that's a good thing. In the past we treated them as friends, and from now on, once the Commission agree it and the Court agrees it, we'll have them as members.
Now, you want to be seen as a normal party. I've just stood here and seen someone, I think a journalist, bundled out of that door by 5 or 6 men and forcibly ejected from this room. How can that have anything to do with a normal political party?
Because he's from the Times, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch, and it lies and it lies and it lies about this party. So he was told, we're sorry, you've told one lie too many, the Times, so we're not allowing anyone from the Times in, kindly leave. He refused to leave when he was asked, so he had to be encouraged to leave.
So this is a party where if you don't like what a broadcaster or a writer says, you will physically throw them out of the door?
Well, think about this. With the Labour Party, when an 82-year-old veteran of the Labour Party got up and heckled the Prime Minister, the Labour Party threw out one of their own members. We throw out a member of Rupert Murdoch's press team that lies and lies and lies about this party, and we'll carry on throwing the Times out until they report the truth. That's all we ask.
So just to clarify, if I say the wrong thing here, are one of these people going to try and throw me out that door, Nick Griffin?
If you utter some outrageous lie about me in the latter stage of this report, you won't be welcome again.
Nick Griffin, leader of the BNP, thank you very much for your time. So decision's been made. This isn't over yet. It's got to go back to court in March, where either the Equality and Human Rights Commission looks at this full constitution and says, yes, that's OK, or a judge decides it's OK. If it isn't, there could be an injunction forcing this party to have another look and to go through this whole process again. Back to you.
Our political correspondent Ross Hawkins with that interview, a very interesting interview, and the man sitting alongside me was oohing and ahhing all the way through it. Let me introduce him. It's Weyman Bennett, Joint Secretary of Unite Against Fascism. They've changed because they've been told to change. Are they doing it with good grace?
I don't believe it'll ever change its spots. I believe they're fundamentally, this is a cosmetic change. I think the BNP remains committed to racism, to, I believe, fascist politics, and I believe they're doing this for expediency in order to con people in the democratic elections that are taking place, the general and the local elections.
It would appear to be, or it could be interpreted as simply a legal manoeuvre. They've had to do it.
Well, they've got an apartheid structure within inside their constitution, which is illegal, and have done for the last 30 years. And therefore, they face the question they wouldn't be able to stand in elections, and I believe that they're prepared to say any lie, say anything, in order to attain power. Hitler was prepared during the Olympics to say that he wasn't against Jewish people, and we knew how that ended up in terms of the gas chambers. And I think we've got to be very clear that we're not hoodwinked by this.
I don't know that we want to go down the road of that repeating itself. Heaven forfend, of course. Do you think this may well lead to a softening of the BNP's attitude?
3 weeks ago I was inside Stoke, in which a large group of BNP members ran on the rampage, attacking mixed workforces, throwing bricks through the window and attacking them. And also I attended the court hearing when Mr Griffin was in there, and his heavies consistently used racist language against me. I don't believe anything's changed. I think this is an expedient thing in order to get, in order to allow themselves to stand in the election.
I guess I know the answer from you because I heard all your noises while Mr Griffin was talking. But do you think this is going to lead to black and Asian people becoming members?
It'd be a bit like Hal Shipman saying that he suddenly changed and you'd like to babysit your grandmother and your grandparents. You'd say that, that you wouldn't trust somebody who was a serial killer suddenly turning saying that I've changed because I've been forced to, because I've been locked up. I think that this is a legal manoeuvre, and I think that the British National Party prove themselves in practice. Wherever they are, racist attacks go up, and so do homophobic attacks. And I don't believe that's what we want in the 21st century.
You can join now. You could fight from the inside if that's what you wanted to do. You tempted to join?
Well, it'd be like a turkey voting for Christmas, wouldn't it, really, joining an organisation that is aimed, is single aim. It says one of its constitutional things it hasn't changed is that it's against mixed-race relations, that it thinks that Rio Ferdinand, who's now the captain of England, is a racial foreigner. That still remains within inside its constitution. I think very few people think like that, and I don't believe that people that hold those type of politics should be in any kind of responsible position. They'll only divide Britain and lead to greater crisis in the future.
We will watch with interest. Fascinating to hear from you, Weyman Bennett. Many thanks.
Thank you very much.